It's 8 a.m. on a wintry Saturday morning. While most teenagers are probably still in bed, these 10 Auckland International College students are on a building site awaiting power tools and paintbrushes. They are part of their school's Habitat for Humanity group and are about to embark on their first local build.
Good morning, welcome along. My name is Tisha, I'm an apprentice builder. So at the moment we are standing, this is a 16 house subdivision, okay? Habitat for Humanity will be building 11 houses. We'll split you guys up into teams and we'll do a bit of painting today and we'll be building today.
Today is a dress rehearsal for a much bigger project. In a few weeks, the school group is travelling to Bali for 10 days to build houses for the less fortunate.
When I first heard about the opportunity available at my school, I was like, oh, Bali. Bali reminds me of an exotic tourist attraction, but then I got to know that Bali is actually one of the most poorest places. Knowing about the fact that poor people exist in such an awesome place like Bali gave me a motivation to go there and become an active member of Habitat for Humanity at my school.
Yeah, okay.
Doing a local build is a must before travelling to a global Habitat for Humanity project. And the pressure is on. There's a lot for these first-time builders to learn.
I learned that, I learned the techniques of painting a house and how you have to use long strokes. And I learned that it's better to work in teams rather than working by yourself.
Well, I found this really hard, and now, through experience, I'm gaining the skills and it's becoming more easier and easier.
Today has been a good reality check for some students who thought building would be a piece of cake.
It's my first time to the building site ever, and I think I saw the picture 2 months ago of this same site, and I think this construction is quite fast than I thought. I thought building a house is quite a big job, but not that much. It doesn't require that much effort or resources.
A few hours later, Eugene realises it's not as easy as it looks.
We were just doing the nail gun thingy and we got it completely wrong, so they had to do it over again. I think because we are not gonna get this much help at the Bali, it's gonna be basically we're on our own. So it's gonna be really, really harder than this. And I think it's gonna be a bit of a challenge.
But pushing through the difficulties is worth it. As the day goes on, the students begin to realise they're not just helping to build a house, but a home. Meeting the future homeowner drove that point home for Eugene.
Well, I think my highlight of this day is meeting him, talking to him, and how he talk about how he feels about moving in. And he looked really happy, and it makes me feel happy as well, because I'm contributing to his, settling in.
Oh, well, it's awesome, man. I mean, I guess without them, this wouldn't happen, so I'm pretty stoked, A lot of people give up their time to come and help us. Yeah.
It's a win-win situation for all involved. The students are feeling a lot more prepared now than they were this morning.
We get the idea of how we're supposed to work, the rules and regulations. I think the safety procedures will be pretty similar to those in Bali, so I think that's really good. We'll be prepared, so we won't be going oh, what are we going to do there? We'll have an idea.
They have washed their hands of the earlier anxieties and any false ideas they had about building. Ready and eager, the students are bouncing with anticipation for their next building project. A few weeks later, the team of 10 arrived in the rural village of Bulaleng and began working on building a home for a local Balinese family. But despite all their preparation, they quickly realised how different things were in this impoverished village.
When we first arrived on the site, there was a huge culture shock. The buildings, I thought the houses we were going to build were pretty much like the ones we built in local builds in Greater Auckland, where everything's just looks normal and ordinary, but those ones in Bali were very, they say it's affordable and convenient living, but it was really inferior compared to what we have in New Zealand.
I think the main difference it had to the local build was that the tools we used, that would have been the main difference, because they were very basic. We had shovels and gloves and paintbrushes, but at the Auckland local build we had power tools and more machineries. While on the site I was painting a lot of the bricks and tiles, and I also helped bend the wires to form these structural poles, and we also dug like dirt and filled the foundation.
The people there cannot speak English, and so I was kind of worried at the first because, you know, we can't communicate to each other, so how are we going to work together when we don't have any translator? But then later I found that it does not really matter because we have the same goal and we can work together, and, you know, we have body language if you're really desperate. So, you know, it didn't, yeah, it wasn't hard at all.
The students have returned home but are holding on to all they've learned from their experiences. They've not only built houses but also self-confidence and a sense of social responsibility.
I think the highlight would have been learning about a new culture and going overseas and experiencing just being in that environment and learning how they worked and how they lived and what they needed, because I think I've been in New Zealand for my whole life, and just being overseas, it like really broadened my horizon on like the world and situations in the world. Yeah.
Experience I gained from Bali taught me to always open my self up in a way, never neglect anything that happens around the world, because even if I neglect it, it still happens in the world, and one day I'll have to face it. So it's better to face it in present and do something to make a change, a positive change.
To find out how you can help make a change, get in touch with your local Habitat for Humanity office.